Hey, friends. Thanks for tuning back in to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart, and you're listening to episode number 31. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with Abby Nimoh of NimoHR about how in the world to apply for your dream job at your dream company. Because let's face it, not all of us are cut out to work for ourselves. And not because we're not all hard workers with ambition. I think most people really are those people. But I fully, completely believe that we are all made with unique gifts and talents, and half the time, those skills are meant for supporting others. So the world would never go around the way it is meant to if everyone was meant to be an entrepreneur, just like the world would never go around if everyone was meant to be an employee. So, first things first, figure out where you belong in the business world and then go full force into it. So, today's episode is dedicated to those loyal and committed employees looking for the best company and the best position for yourself. And Abby is the perfect person to have this conversation with because she has been in HR for 15 years, launched her company NimoHR last year, and is simultaneously the manager for an Arizona software company that's been recognized as one of the top firms to work for in Arizona. So I'm sure Abby has something to do with that, right? She has the inside scoop on what employers are looking for in candidates. Throughout her career, she has read thousands of resumes, conducted thousands of interviews, and unfortunately has sent thousands of Dear John letters. You know the ones. She knows the hiring process inside and out, but more importantly, she knows the hiring process from the employer's perspective. She utilizes the insights and experience she gained from working on the other side of the desk to provide an advantage to every one of her clients. So let's dive in and see what she has to say. You're listening to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart. Audacity is defined by Merriam-Webster as intrepid boldness or disregard for normal constraints. And that's exactly what we have here. The Live with Audacity podcast is aimed at giving you the courage to explore your someday dreams, do things your way, and start making things happen in your life right now. I'm a mama to 4 kiddos ranging from college student to kindergartner, wife to a high school football and track coach, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Together with my guests, we're going to teach you how to live with audacity and intentionality, discover and utilize your unique skills and talents, and step into who you are meant to be in order to make your someday dreams a reality. Are you ready? Here we go. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm so excited about today's episode, and I know I always say that, but I really am excited about today's because I have Abby Nimoh on today, and Abby actually and I met in one of the Rachel Hollis groups, which, you know, there are like a million. But we met in one of those groups, and one day she was in the group, and we had just gotten back from Rise Dallas, I think. And she said, "Hey guys, I've been kind of thinking about starting this business helping people with the job hunting process. I'm really good at resume writing and helping people make their resumes sound good, giving interview advice and all these things." And hundreds of people responded like, "Oh my gosh, we need you so bad. Please start this." And she did it. So Abby, thank you so much for coming to the podcast and welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Yeah, I'm super excited. That's exactly what happened. And I went to Rise. I've been in HR for, 15 years. I have all my certs. Thought I was on the path of being an HR exec somewhere and went to Rise and got this business idea and then just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, I love that so much because, not everyone wants to start a business, right? Like not everybody has the I don't know, the stamina to
Hmm.
sustain the ebb and flow of running a business. And that's totally okay. I need everyone to know that you need to use your unique gifts and talents to serve the world in the perfect way for you. And so, if that is being an employee, then that's being an employee, and that's fantastic. And we need employees. We can't just have, the
Right.
entire universe being a bunch of business owners because there won't be anyone to work for these businesses. So,
Right.
um, yeah, so when you posted that and so many people responded like, "Yes, yes, yes," how did that make you feel?
Well, it was almost like this light bulb like went off. I was, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to help people because it's something that people don't really take the time to learn or don't want to, or it's not a college taught class. We don't spend a lot of
That is
time in
so
how
true.
to, yeah, you don't figure out how to read resumes. You don't do interview preparations when you're in college, high school. It's just we don't do it. And so hearing that people wanted this was very exciting because I do have so much knowledge and background on doing it, but doing it on the employer side, being the one who reads hundreds of resumes, being the one who does, interviews day and day, and then also sending the Dear John letters, because so getting that other side of the desk perspective, I kind of have the inside scoop. So hearing that people wanted this service was exciting. And when I started it and I had posted that thing on Facebook, at that time I started the business and I was working on a business plan. I was putting together material, and at the same time I was working my full-time job. I was also getting my master's degree. So when I posted that
Oh,
comment of,
wow.
yeah, I was kind of stressed and, should I do this? Is it worth it? I'm spending so much time. I'm away from my husband, my friends. I didn't know necessarily if this was the path I was supposed to go in because I spent 15 years building up this HR career, and it was something completely, well, the same, right? But different. And
Uh-huh.
so it was a Saturday morning, and I wrote, I had this idea to help people with their resumes and their LinkedIn profiles, which is, so important now, interview preparations. So I had this idea and I had posted it, and it was a Saturday morning. And I honestly didn't think I would get one or two comments. I thought maybe my girlfriends that I went to Rise with would comment, but I didn't. I didn't realize that there would be 200 people and 500 likes and all these. And I, to this day, I took screenshots of all of them and I have them saved on my phone because I was like, this is it. These people want this. And so once I got that, I kept on going and started it and kept on moving. But it was very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's so cool too. And it's a huge testament to the Rise community
Mm.
is you went in thinking that it would only be a few people maybe that
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, heck yeah, do this." And then so many people showed up and were like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a great idea. We totally need this." And
Hmm.
blew your mind. I think that's such a great testament to our Rise community. It's full of beautiful women who support each other, and that's just
Yes.
it's so incredible, right?
No, it absolutely is. It was, and I wouldn't have, thought of this idea and started this if it hadn't been for Rise, because at Rise, that's when this whole thought process kind of started. Like, what can I do to really make a difference and to help? Like, what is my skills that I'm like passionate about and that, I can really help someone else. And so that's when it kind of all started, as Rachel talking about what is, your why and what can you do to make the society just better. And to me, that was, I have this knowledge of all these tips and things that I see people do on their resumes that one simple mistake gets them scanned out. And so that's when it all started. And it is the community and the support that you get from the Rise community is amazing.
Yes, I totally agree with that. So tell us kind of where you're at in business right now and how's it going?
Yeah, it's good. So I'm still working my full time job as an HR manager for a software company, which is great. And then I also have the Nemo HR, which is the resume, LinkedIn, interview preparation, consulting, and so it's been good. I have been pleasantly surprised how how many people have been interested and how well it's done in such a short period of time. It's been nice having both too because I've stayed pretty current on what resumes are looking like and how people are doing interviews. So having that connection to the other side of the desk has still been very beneficial. But it's been really great. It's amazing. I had no idea that it would do well and the feedback and the reviews and it's amazing.
That is so incredible. I want to ask, when you are at work at your real job and you
Hmm.
are, I actually hate that word real job
I
because
know,
whatever,
I know.
we can get into that later. But when you're at your regular job,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're going through the motions of what your job entails, do you ever just go, "Oh gosh, that's good. I gotta write that down," or, "Oh, that's something I need to touch on in my content is, I hate it when people do this," or, "This is such a bad idea," or, "This was
Yes.
a really great move on this person's part."
Yes, 100%. I feel like that's where I get all of my content, my advice is seeing these resumes and I'm like, "Oh, that's really great how they did that." It caught my eye like reading because when a company posts for a position on one platform, say like ZipRecruiter, you know, they'll get 2 to 300 resumes. So for one position, I'll see 2 to 300 resumes come in. So when I get one that catches my eye, I'm like, oh, I love how they put, you know, their skills here or their technical ability is there. Or if I'll see some that I don't like and I just notice the ones that I'm skimming over, or we could get into applicant tracking systems, which is a popular
Yes, I
topic
definitely wanna talk about that
because
because
that's interesting.
yes, because when I was applying for jobs, I feel like
Hmm.
I'm decent with words and how to say things and things
Hmm.
like that, but for some reason, I just never knew what the key words were to be able to break through that. So,
Yeah.
how do we find what the keywords are for that particular job that we're hunting for?
The best advice I have for that is look at the job descriptions of the positions that you're applying for. And because one, when the keywords, the company is going to put in the keywords that they write in their job description, and the ATS applicant tracking systems will filter through resumes that look similar to the job posting that they've like listed. So if you're applying for a sales position and the sales job description has the word sales in it, they're most likely using that as their keywords. If for example you're applying for the sales position but you use the word business development in your resume, or
Mm,
um, a different kind of version, it's probably getting passed through. So you want to put like a mix of keywords. So you want to add sales and you want to add a business development. So the
okay,
biggest
okay.
thing is looking at their job descriptions. If you've got like project management and they're using, time management in their job description, make sure you add time management somewhere in your resume.
That makes sense. Okay. So we need to be able to tweak our resume to each position that we're applying for and not just
Yeah,
have one blanket
well, you
resume.
can have one blanket, but a lot if you're applying for a manager position, a lot of the job descriptions are written pretty similar to manager. So just make sure that you're looking at different job descriptions. If you want to tailor it to every position, that's great. That's very time consuming. But if you don't, just look at the different jobs that you're applying for and picking out the keywords that they're using.
Okay. Okay. That's really helpful. What are some other tips for breaking through that barrier to get our resume seen? Does it
The
matter
uh
does it matter if the resume is pretty? Like
So that I'm glad you asked. That is the next thing that I would say. uh, as far as the applicant tracking systems go, the problem with some resumes now is that they are too pretty. And so
Okay.
that means they have too many like graphics, or they don't have a lot of content in them. So they don't have a lot of keywords because of all these pretty pictures and designs on them, which is great. But for the applicant tracking systems, sometimes the graphics will stop it from pushing it through. And then also, when they have a very pretty resume, there's usually not a lot of content on it because a lot of the space is used with graphics and pictures. So that's a problem. But then it is also a problem not on the applicant tracking side, but sometimes resumes are so generic that it doesn't catch the eye of the recruiter or the HR person reading it. So they're just white. Nothing stands out to make them keep on reading. They'll just look over it.
Okay.
Even if there's really good content, there's nothing that just grabs their attention.
Okay, so we need first to get through the barrier of the tracking system, and
Yeah.
then we need to catch the eye of the recruiter.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then another little tip, if you're trying a way to get away from the applicant tracking system, so maybe say, for example, the positions that you're applying for require a bachelor's degree in their job description, but you don't have a bachelor's degree. So your resume might have a hard time getting through these applicant tracking systems because you don't have the word bachelor's on your resume. So,
Okay.
a tip to try to get away from that is just take a class at the university and then maybe write working towards bachelor's. So start working towards it so that you can add the word bachelor's into your resume so that it gets past those applicant tracking systems.
Hilarious because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I used to do.
Yeah, it's these little tricks. And then another thing with the applicant tracking system, if you're having trouble with that, maybe try applying to smaller to mid-sized companies, because applicant tracking systems are very expensive for companies. And so the bigger
Oh,
companies are the ones that have them because they can afford it and they're hiring, you know, worldwide, thousands
right,
of positions. So they can get it at a better price and they can afford it. Smaller to mid-sized companies probably can't afford it, or they just aren't hiring enough to make it worthwhile. So they may
right.
not have one. So for that, if you look for the smaller companies, they're not going to use one most likely.
Okay, okay. So if you're giving tips to make our resume stand out to the recruiter,
Mhm.
what are some things that people can do graphically or design wise to make it kind of jump out?
Graphically, I would say add a little color, not a ton, but maybe your lines that you're separating, your different sections in your resume, make that a blue or highlight in a gray, something with a little color to make it stand out.
Okay,
Graphics, I've seen maybe like a little circle with your initials in it, something very simple and not over the top, because also there are still some recruiters in HR that are very traditional and
hmm,
may not like the very new modern, with their pictures on it and all
right,
these really beautiful things. That there still are some very traditional recruiters in HR that like the old school black and white resume. So I would say just a tad of color, and maybe there's some like great circles with your initials in it. I'm not a huge fan of adding your photo in it unless it's maybe a marketing position or something where you're trying to market your brand.
okay.
Uh,
That's a great tip because I actually was
I,
just about to ask. So picture or no picture?
yeah, personally, I'm not a fan. And I mean, depending on the position,
Do
I
you
just
look at
feel
them
like.
and think, "Oh my gosh, this person thinks they're so beautiful"?
Yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. It doesn't tell me anything about your skills. It doesn't tell me what you've done. It's just a little bit of a wasted space. Um, I've also, side note, speaking of pictures, but also side note, I see this and it's crazy. Everyone is so shocked when I say this, but in like say ZipRecruiter or even on, Indeed, you can put your picture. I see a lot, maybe not a lot, but it's more common than you would think, people that would add their picture and add filters. So there may be little bunnies or, they've got a pretty and it's just
Or stars or
not.
something like that.
Yes,
Don't
yes.
do
Just
that.
keep it professional.
Oh my gosh, and no filters.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, okay,
Everyone's
okay, I like
beautiful
it.
the way they are. It's not.
Exactly. I know you don't need a
Yeah,
filter, girl.
you don't.
Oh my
No.
I love that you said that. Yes, I'm so glad that you pointed it out because I feel like and not picking on anyone particular, but I feel like because we're in that age of everyone has a filter on,
Mhm.
different photos and things like that, that it's just not something that maybe people really think about that
Yeah,
isn't professional. But guys, it's not professional. Don't do that on your resume.
yeah.
Oh
In
my gosh,
photos,
that's
I
so
mean,
funny.
the other really comment on photos, your professional photo on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend just spending $50, $75 and getting a professional photo on LinkedIn. Um, with a nice backdrop, just plain and simple. I see a lot of people that will crop out themselves and you see things in the background that maybe aren't as professional. So I would highly recommend a professional photo for your LinkedIn account.
I totally agree. And so, just in case people are wondering,
Hmm.
why obviously we all know that people have lives outside of work. So tell us why it's so important to make sure that it's a professional photo rather than just the crop of your last Saturday night out at the bar.
I will be as honest on this one. I believe it's because people are just judgy. And if you have a photo with a bar in the background, people, when you're looking for resumes and you're looking for a candidate and you see some cocktails in the back, you automatically think this person is a cocktail kind of person and not a professional. I think that if you're applying for, a higher level, you're trying to elevate your career to the next level, you are what you present yourself. So if you present yourself as a very professional person, that's what your resume is going to kind of conceive. That's what the person recruiting for you is going to think, that you're this professional. Whereas if you have a cropped photo with a bar in the background, just human
That's what
nature
they're
is
gonna
thinking that
Yeah. Yeah.
you're maybe at the bar and you won't come to work on
More
Monday
often.
morning.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, I love that you pointed that out too because, your picture on LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter or whatever is going to say, "Hey, this is what I generally am," right? And
Yeah, yeah.
so if you have a professional photo, I'm generally pretty professional. Or if you have
Hmm.
a picture of you cropped from the bar, hey, I generally go to the bar a lot. So make
Yes,
sure that
yes.
you're saying what you really want to say with your picture. I think that's so valuable to point out. Awesome.
Yeah, it is your brand, and you may not be applying for your own business position, and you're applying as a W-2 employee, but that's your brand and that's what you're promoting. Um, and LinkedIn is huge, especially with your photo. And when recruiters and HR, they get a resume that they like, recruiters and HR are like little detectives. We will immediately go to your LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, to find information on you to see if you would be a good fit for the company. So adding
Okay,
a
so
professional photo is important.
when they go to LinkedIn and Facebook
Hmm.
to as my kids say, search me up.
Yeah.
what what are they looking for exactly? So, like,
Yeah.
if my Facebook is on private, but obviously you can see my cover photo and my profile
Yeah.
photo and anything else that I've made specifically public, what are y'all looking for?
So this is the process that happens. We would find a resume that we like, that catches our eye and meets all the requirements, and then recruiters and HR will go to LinkedIn And the main thing that they're looking for is to make sure that your resume matches your LinkedIn account. So there's a lot of times people will forget to update their LinkedIn, or maybe they said they worked at a position for this amount of time, but really it was different. And so they're looking to make sure that your LinkedIn and your resume match. If they
Oh, okay.
don't, yeah, so if they don't, it's a red flag. Like, why did you say here that you worked at this company for XYZ, but on your LinkedIn you didn't? Or you said here that you were a manager, but on your LinkedIn you said that you were customer service. So it's, and if they don't match, you're out. So
Oh, wow.
my, yeah, so definitely, and you can copy paste. All they're looking for is to really just make sure that your resume is backed up by your social media.
Okay, interesting. I'm so glad
Mhm.
you let us know about
Yeah,
that. That's very valuable too. Okay. So what if someone doesn't have a LinkedIn?
I would recommend getting one. It's
Okay.
the, yeah, it's the modern, it's used so much. It's a great networking. Well, one, it's great because they um excuse me, I had to cough. The recruiters in HR will go to LinkedIn always after and check. So if you don't have one, I would get one because they're going to look there for it. It's also a great place to network. You can get connected with recruiters, HR on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for a job, you can search them, or what did your kids call it? Search you up?
Search it
I
up.
think
Search it up.
search it up. They can, you can search it up to the recruiters in HR and find information on them. It's also a really good platform to apply for positions. So, on the company's perspective, when I recruit for positions, I get most of my qualified candidates from LinkedIn. So the higher level positions, I go to LinkedIn. It's interesting, different platforms have different
Okay.
like skill levels, and LinkedIn is really important. So if you don't
Okay.
have one, I would recommend getting one.
So LinkedIn is kind of a not a catch-all, but it's for all levels of employment that you're searching for.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um,
And then
but for
so what
whatever
about
reason, mhm.
go ahead, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, for whatever reason, the candidates though that come from LinkedIn tend to be, in my opinion, very professional and qualified. So LinkedIn brings in the best candidates, but is also a good tool for from the candidate's perspective in networking and applying for positions and searching for, recruiters in HR too.
Okay, that's actually a great segue to my next question.
Yeah.
Um what is the protocol or the guideline for adding recruiters to your LinkedIn? Like, is that good? Is that a
Yeah,
no-no? Like,
absolutely.
what's the
No, no,
perspective there?
I love that. And yeah, absolutely. Reach out to recruiters, add them. The thing about adding them, when you do add more and more recruiters, sometimes recruiters will post, or HR will post on their feed of positions that they're recruiting for. So it gives you a way to reach out to them or comment on it at an individual level rather than being one of 300 resumes that they get in. So you can
Yeah,
absolutely, reach out to them. I will give a tip. We get a lot of people reach out every day, and what
right.
the common thing is they'll just use the generic LinkedIn um, template that LinkedIn provides that
Mhm.
you can just auto send. So I would recommend not using that because we'll get, a 10 a day of that just generic, and so you'll just kind of
And
skim
you're like,
through
"Oh,
it.
geez,
Yeah, it doesn't
this
give
guy."
you yeah, another one. I've heard this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
So yeah,
man.
update that and absolutely reach out to recruiters. You may not hear back, but you may get lucky and someone will reach back out to you.
I think that's really valuable too, is if, like you said, if you're adding recruiters and they happen to
Mhm.
post something and you're like, oh my gosh, that job would be perfect for me. And you can comment, like, hey, I would be so perfect for that position. Or I know someone who would be so perfect for that
Mhm.
position. Wow, that can be so helpful and get you to the front of line so much faster. Genius.
Yeah, yep,
That's
yep.
genius.
Yeah.
Why have people not thought of this before?
You just
That's
don't
hilarious.
when you're applying for that, you don't think about it from that perspective
You
because
really don't.
you don't well, one, it's not, taught. How would you know?
Exactly.
And then it's also you don't spend a lot of time researching it or doing it.
Or talking to recruiters like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, okay. Wow. Okay, so my wheels are spinning right now trying to put myself in the position of someone who's actually applying for jobs. Oh, okay, let's talk about interviews because I am not the best at interviews and I want to know all the tips. Not that I'm out there interviewing, but I know if I struggle with them, somebody
Yes.
else does too. So let's talk about that.
They're awkward, they're stressful,
So
and
stressful.
they are. And I know because when you do the interviews, you can tell they're not comfortable. It's also not that exciting for the person doing the interviews. Oftentimes, the people that are offered positions are not necessarily the ones that have the best skill set, but can interview the best.
Oh, okay.
So it is very important. I think my biggest tip, I have a couple, but just one, practice. It takes
Okay.
time. So if you're gonna, looking for another job and just maybe expect that the first 5, 10 interviews that you do, it's practice. You're not gonna ace it on the first one. They're gonna ask you the same 10 to 15 questions, um, or a couple of them kind of spread out different ones. So practice is key. I would also my other 2 biggest tips I would say is be excited and kinda just talk to the person, not think of it as an interview because they're not that exciting for recruiters and
Right,
HR. They give very repetitive and, you hear kind of like the same answers, and they're just not that exciting, right? So
right.
my tip is to, make it more exciting, get to know the person that's interviewing you, ask questions. That's huge. At the end of the interview, they are 100% of the time going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? And your answer should be yes, all the time. Ask questions, tons. If you don't know what to ask, I would focus on 3 different things. So, one, I would ask questions directed towards the person interviewing you. How long have you been with the company? What do you like most about the company? And then, so something specific to them, you can always LinkedIn stalk them, find something that you can ask directed towards them. And then
I
I
like
would
that
ask,
that's now a term.
yeah, yeah,
LinkedIn
yeah,
stalk.
yeah. You
Okay.
should tell your kids. So ask them questions about them. Ask them questions about the position, and then also about the company. So I would focus on those 3 different things: the person interviewing you, the company, and the position. But ask questions, be excited to be there, be interested in the company is huge because again, that gets kind of repetitive. So if somebody doesn't show interest in the company, it goes both ways. Then they're not interested in you, you're not interested in them. So show interest, be excited,
Okay.
practice. Um, What else? Don't Google a lot of I mean, Google questions, the answers to questions to get your inspiration and to kind of feel out, do your research on how you should answer them. But if you've Googled the answer, like the question about your weaknesses, if
I
you've
know,
Googled the
right?
answer, it's an awful one. It's so awful, but it's so awful that everyone Googles the answer. And so that means that everyone that's Googled the answer usually
Says the
answers
same
it pretty
thing.
similar. Yeah. So be
Okay, so
authentic.
how do we answer that? How do
be,
we
be
answer that?
be honest. Like, don't make up a flaw that's not really a flaw. It's just a Googled flaw. Like, what's the common one? It's that
The
they're a
most common one, I
perfectionist.
think yes,
I'm a
perfectionism, yes.
perfectionist, and that's not really a. I mean, it's a flaw, but you hear that one often. So just be honest. If your flaw is that you don't have experience in XYZ, be honest with that. Or if your flaw is that you don't have a bachelor's degree, just say it. I don't have a bachelor's degree, and that's been my flaw. So something that's a real flaw is better than a
Okay.
Googled flaw.
Okay.
And of course, you can
Okay.
spin it. If you don't have a bachelor's degree and that's what's you consider your flaw, then say, but I'm working towards it, or I'm not really into that, but I'm really into podcasts and learning. So you can spin it, but I would just be honest and not Google those answers.
I love that so much. Yes, I think authenticity is it's so
Yeah.
scary to be authentic because you're like, "Well, I don't really want you to know what my weaknesses
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
in an
Mhm.
interview," but like you said, if you can, um, air quote, "spin it"
Mhm.
to, you're right, like, I don't have a bachelor's degree, so what I would say is but I have tons of experience with people and communication
Mhm.
and things like that, and I think that is more valuable than my
Yeah.
my having a bachelor's degree or not. So I think
No.
that's really a great tip is just be authentic and
Right.
know what your weakness is ahead of time before you go in. Don't try to think of it on the spot because 'cause I've done that too, and it doesn't work out so great.
Yes. Exactly. You'll just automatically go back to like a Googled answer. So definitely think about it
Exactly.
ahead of time. But be honest, and like you said, be yourself and stand out that you're different than everyone else, because if you Google, the answers, you're no different than the other candidates. So, you know, be honest and who you are, and it will really help your interviewing odds of getting to the next level.
Okay, I have a question.
Mhm.
What which obviously I do, we're doing a podcast, but,
Yeah.
okay, how valuable is personal growth to your, applying for jobs and seeking employment?
Oh my gosh, I love the question. It's really important. Um, if you're asked what are your greatest skills, or what are growth is big. If you can find a candidate that is focused on growing, that is a huge bonus. So especially if you are maybe kind of just starting off, you're just a recent grad and you don't have a lot of experience, I would focus heavily on growth, because they would see you as someone that can grow with them and someone that can move into different positions and grow. So it's definitely important.
I
Someone that
love
likes
that.
to learn is really important.
Also, I think too, when you're in personal growth and you are always growing and learning, you become
Mhm.
so much more self aware, which makes you way more
Mhm.
valuable too, because you know that that person isn't just all out there willy nilly being. Obviously, you should be yourself, but I mean, they are aware of that they might have things that they need to work on or they have
Mhm.
weaknesses and things like that, and so I think I totally agree with you that if you are into personal growth, you're gonna be an ideal candidate because
Mhm.
you are not only focused on growth, but awareness of where you can grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, when someone talks about growing and, having dreams of being a manager or dreams of being a developer or something, then when you're interviewing, your mind starts going like, oh, but maybe this person would be really good if she was in, this department, she could really excel. So if you use growth, it gets the person interviewing you thinking, what other possibilities, what other positions can this person do well in?
Ooh,
So
I
yeah,
love that so much.
it's very important.
I love it. Okay, next. Well, okay, sorry. My mouth is not working. My brain is working so fast, my mouth is not working. This is so fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, you are an employee right now and you are building a business on the side. How do
Yes.
employers feel about that?
I have a that's a good question. I have a really great relationship with my current employer. Um, I'm extreme there. The CEO is a entrepreneur spirit that has 50, companies. I'm very close with the company. I've built a really great relationship. So I feel like it works. So I can't really speak on maybe other companies. The one that I'm at is really great, and it's benefited the company because I'm growing. I'm learning more about what these candidates are doing, how to find really great talent. So it's a win-win for both. But that's a good question, and I don't know maybe how other employers are feel about that. When
Yeah.
I'm recruiting and I get that, I don't doesn't steer me one way or the other. I think, to have a side business or, aspirations to do more is good.
Okay, good. I think that's really valuable information because I think right now we're in the age of most people have a air quote regular job and a
Mhm.
side hustle, and so I think it's really valuable to understand that most companies understand that that's probably happening.
Right.
Um and I think too, it's important to point out that if that's what you're doing and that's your goal, is look for a company that isn't the company that says, "Nope, you gotta be only focused on this." Yeah, especially if
Yeah.
you're in sales, I feel like they're probably gonna be
r-
more like, "Nope, you have to only be focused on this," right?
Right, right. And to kind of comment on that, there are times when I'll be interviewing candidates and they have a side business or they've been doing their own business and are looking to get into the W-2 life. So if that's you, the question is going to come up, well, do you want to continue this business or are you going to be able to do both? And so when you are asked that question, making sure that you will be able to give your time to that company because they're paying, you to be a W-2 employee. So making it clear that you will dedicate your time to them and this is something that you're going to be doing after work or on your weekends. Like right now I go to work after this. So it's not interrupting my real job, air quotes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's really valuable that we point out that you need to be very again authentic, very honest
Hmm.
about your situation. I know a lot of times people are kind of desperate when they're searching for a job.
Hmm.
Not all the time, but sometimes it kind of gets that way, right? Where we're just
Yeah.
like, I just need this job. I don't care. I'll tell you whatever you want to hear. I just need this job. But
Right.
I think it's important to point out that we are meant to do things
Hmm.
um in this life, and when you are dishonest and you're not totally upfront um and authentic with your ideas and your
Yep.
purpose and your the direction that you're headed in because you're so desperate for a job, you're inevitably going to end up in a place that isn't right for you.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and you're just gonna get back to the same position that you're in currently. So in my personal opinion, I think it is 100% best to hold out for the position that actually fits you and you
Hmm.
fit the company because you're gonna end up so much happier in the long run and have you're not gonna end up in the same position in 6 months or a year looking for
Right.
another job that fits you better, right?
No, absolutely. And this is why I'm like a huge promoter on when people ask you in your interview, do you have questions? You should always ask questions. And for that reason, exactly. Don't you want to know what this company is about? You're going to spend 40 plus hours, a week at this company. Do you like the coworkers? Do you believe in their culture? Do you believe in, their core? Ask them what are their core values? Is that something that you want to believe in? Ask them, talk to the manager because that's who you're going to be reporting to. This is, you know, an interview is not only for the employer to find an employee, but it's for the employee to find out if this is a good match for you. Can you grow with the company? Do you see yourself there in 5, 10 years? Are you going to love going into work or are you going to want to sleep in and not go to work? So absolutely. You have to apply for positions but take into account what you want as well and ask those questions during interviews so that you can get an idea for what the company is all about and if that's what you want to do. There's a one of my favorite quotes is if you like the people you work with and and love your job, you will never have to work a day in your life. And I think that's
I
absolutely
100%
true.
agree.
So
Yeah.
if you find a job that you enjoy going to work every morning, you like the people that you work with, you don't really have to work.
Yes, I totally 100% agree with that. Oh, so good.
Mhm.
Um, and I think too, when you go out looking for a job, you need to have that mindset like, I am so excited to find the
Mhm.
place that I get to go to every day and be happy to go there.
Yep.
That's so important. And I think a lot of times when we're looking for jobs, at least this is how I've felt in the past, is like, ugh, I got to look for a job. This totally
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
But if you change your mindset about it and realize, like, man, I'm on the hunt for my dream job, or, it's kind of like dating. People are like, oh, I hate dating. But dude, you're out there like having so much fun finding the person that you're supposed to be with and the person that you click with and
I
all this. That's so fun.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that I mean, I always thought of interviewing and, applying a lot like dating because that's what it is. You hand them your resume, they see if they like you, and, you get to know each other. But the whole process of, applying for a job, I never thought of it like like that. So that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think it can be really fun
Yeah.
if you go into it with the right mindset and the right purpose of it, right? Like, if I'm
Okay,
just out
absolutely.
there yeah, if I'm just out there just looking for a job, of course it's gonna be mundane and sad and
Yeah.
and energy draining, but, if I'm out there and I'm like, "Yes, I can't wait to find this place that I just love so much and I love the people," like, that
Mhm.
just like, thinking about it that way, even for 5 seconds, I don't know, it gets me
It's
excited, like, "Oh,
exciting.
this is
Yeah,
gonna be so fun."
yeah, like a
Yeah.
new adventure. But of course you have to find the right company and the right position. But if you find that, like, very exciting, that's, a new chapter and a new challenge, and growth goes back to the growth aspect
Yeah.
is
Okay,
so
so let me ask you
absolutely.
this.
Mhm.
It so are you helping recruiters right now? Are you doing the recruiting side at all for employers, or are you only right now helping people look for the right job?
So I'm not, so there are like recruitment agencies out there, and you should absolutely build a relationship with the recruitment agencies. The difference is recruitment agencies have contracts with companies, so they have a set X amount of companies that they will recruit for. So you should 100% connect with recruiters and different recruitment agencies. The difference between them and Nemo HR is that I don't have any contracts with companies. So I don't get paid by companies. I work with candidates who are looking to get a job. So I will help you
Okay.
build your resume. It, work on your interview skills, and then you should take that knowledge and those tools and bring it to a recruitment agency or start applying online.
I love that.
Does that
And yeah, no, that's perfect.
okay?
Do you have relationships with recruiters at all where you can kind of recommend like, "Oh my gosh, I know this great recruiter that would probably be able to find you the perfect match."
Yeah, absolutely. On LinkedIn, I guess, is where I would go for all of that. I have a pretty big network on LinkedIn, so if there's, a good match, I can absolutely reach out to somebody on LinkedIn for that one. And then I am
That's
also a part of
awesome.
these different like HR groups around the valley or where I live. Um, so I do have connections that way as well.
I love it so much. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. Is there anything you think that I didn't ask that people should know?
I would say just to not give up if anyone is, struggling with finding a job. I know it's hard because I see it from the employer side of how many resumes come in and how many interviews. So I would just say, don't give up. Like you say, be authentic. I would highly suggest going, if it not, Nemo HR, but go get your resume redone by a professional. If I look at it like this, if you're going to go to a gym, or if you want to get fit, you go to a gym and you see a personal trainer. if you want to save money, you see like a financial advisor. So if you're looking for a new career or you're looking for a job, I would highly suggest going and getting your resume done, getting your interview skills 100% ready, and then start applying. But my biggest thing, don't give up. I know it's a hard process, but you can do it.
I I love it. I love it so much. And I think this is so valuable to people that are searching for employment. Because like you said, it's so overwhelming and there's so
It
much to know and
is.
there's so much to do. And I think having someone like you in their back pocket is so incredible. I honestly wish I would have known any of this information when I was looking, or been able to have someone help me with my resume, help me understand what people are looking for in interviews and things like that. So this has been incredibly valuable, even just to me, who's not looking anymore, but might
It,
end up looking one day. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, or your
But
kids, you might know, you never know. I mean, being a W-2 employee is very common, and looking for jobs is common, and it's hard. And so ask
yeah,
for help. That's the biggest thing. People, I think so many times we don't ask for help, and I know like Rachel talks about it, and in the community, if you're not, you have to ask for help, and
you
that's what
have
a
to.
career services company is for. Is that's what they specialize in. They know it will lower your time spent on looking for a job.
Amen, girl. I love that so much. Okay. So, um, I just have had so much fun hanging out and
I
talking with you
know.
today. And I want people to know a little bit more about you. So let's do a quick rapid fire. What is a
Yes.
book, article, person, or talk that changed your life?
Oh, that one is so easy. Girl, wash your face. Rachel Hollis, Girl, Wash Your Face. That book and this community has changed my life uh, tenfold. It's amazing.
Yes, I totally agree. Just love the
Yeah.
whole everything, the community,
I had
the
it's
events,
amazing.
everything. Yes, I
It
totally
is.
agree.
I had no
Um,
idea. It's a whole different world. My best friend introduced me to the book. I read it, and it just snowballed from there. I got obsessed with her podcast. I got obsessed with someone else's podcast. I got obsessed with everything. It's amazing. So that book and this community 100% has changed me.
Agreed. What is your favorite Friday night at home?
Uh Documentaries with my husband. I am a
Ooh, what kind of
huge
documentaries?
documentary. Anything. Conspiracy theories I'm really into. I
Me too. Oh my
I'm
gosh,
like,
that's so funny.
"Wow, what if the world was actually like this and I thought it was like this?" Conspiracy theories, I'm all about them.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. I am always afraid to tell people that, but I am totally into conspiracy theories. Oh, so
Yeah.
funny.
I have a
Okay.
conspiracy theory against a conspiracy theory.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Uh, what was your dream job as a kid?
This is embarrassing. Um, this here it goes. I was obsessed with being a bus driver. So I would this was when I was really small though. So let's just I wasn't in college
That
wanting to
is
do that.
so adorable. I love
But
that so much.
I set up like little radios on the side, and I'd pretend like I was driving and push little buttons like I was driving a bus, and that's
Oh
what I
my
wanted to
gosh.
be. Of course I grew
I
out of
love
that stage, but I did not aspire to be an astronaut or a doctor. That was not me at the time.
I love it so much, and hey, look, we all need bus drivers, so
Yeah.
I think that's really, really great.
Yes.
That's so awesome. Tell me about the next vacation you're planning.
Next vacation. Actually have a couple coming up, but the next one is going to Mexico for one of my close friends' bachelorette party. So that should be exciting.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
Are you planning to attend Rise Business in Austin later this
Y-
year?
I want to, and the answer is yes. I'm going to make it happen. I'm so excited about it. Yes, yes, I am. Are
Okay.
you?
We are so going to meet up there and I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun. Okay. What is your best advice to help our listeners live with audacity?
Geez, that's a good question and a very loaded question. I would just say to be yourself. Uh, If you're living with audacity, that means being who you are, whatever that is. If that's being someone that loves to read books or go to the club, whatever it is to you, just be honest to yourself and live that way.
I love that. And I totally agree.
That was
Okay.
that question caught me off guard. That was a good one.
Okay. Where can people find you to get more information about you and your services and all about you?
Yeah, so my website is Nemo HR, which is a spin on my last name. So my last name is Nemo, which is Nimoh. My company name is
Love
NIMOHR.com.
it.
So it's a little spin on that, NimoHR.com. You can find me on Facebook as well, Abby Nimoh HR. I'm not as active on on my Instagram account. You can also email Abby at NimoHR.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well,
Oh my
I
gosh.
will link all of that in the show notes, of course.
Okay.
So anyone who is interested can, of course, hit Abby up. And if you can't wait for my show notes, then make sure you go find her on LinkedIn and connect
Oh
with
yeah,
her because
LinkedIn
I
too.
know
Here
she
I
has.
am promoting LinkedIn and I don't even mention it. Oh
uh,
wow.
but I will include that as well too. Awesome. This was so much fun. I
It
love
was.
the tips and tricks, and I think they're so valuable to people and they're going to change somebody's life for sure. Thank you so much
Oh,
for coming on the show today. This was a ton of fun.
thank you so much. I am so happy that I did this and I hope someone found it valuable and lands that dream job.
Yes. And if you do using these tips, please, please, please reach out to both of us and let us know because that's really exciting and we want to know about it.
Yes.
Hey, y'all, I had to jump in here real quick because I need a favor. If you are loving the Live with Audacity podcast, I need you to do me a big solid favor and share it with your friends, share it on social media, and go to the Apple iTunes link and click subscribe, rate it, review it. I need to know your feedback and I want to keep putting this out for you, so I really need your help to get the message out. Thank you so, so much for your loyalty and your super kind and sweet words. They mean so terribly much to me.